This is the news at 10, live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight,
Okonjo-Iweala.
Hello and welcome. Tonight, federal government again raises hope for low-income earners in the country, says there's no cause for alarm over falling oil prices. Federal government launches a satellite tracker to monitor gas flaring by international oil companies in the country. Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries elects Nigeria's petroleum minister, first female president of OPEC. And Mexico's president announces massive changes in the country's police following the mysterious disappearance of 43 students.
On business news tonight, the International Monetary Fund commends Nigeria's currency devaluation.
And on sports news tonight, Nigeria maintained their position in the latest FIFA ranking despite failing to qualify for the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations.
Against the backdrop of spiraling global oil prices and fears of harsh impact on the economy, the Minister of Finance, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, has again given assurances of the nation's ability to deal with the situation. The minister said that the scenario-based approaches developed to cushion the unfavorable effects of falling prices are comprehensive and are supported by extensive consultations with global analysts such as the IMF and short to medium-term strategies, mainly targeted at poor and vulnerable people. Our correspondent Omonego Nadi reports.
This morning, I welcome you.
The event that converged experts and key players in the financial economic sector was a presentation of a master plan for the Nigerian capital market towards global competitiveness. As expected, key issues in the economy came up for discussion, first among them the falling oil prices and the consequences on the economy. The finance minister once again allayed fears of an impending crash.
People should not get fixated on the $73. It's just the midpoint of the range we have. If it falls to $70, we are ready with additional measures. We have organized a set of measures around 73, which I'll talk about. But we have additional measures that will bring in at $70 a barrel. We have further measures at 65, and we have a third set of measures at 60.
The minister also assured that the medium-term strategies to cushion the falling oil prices will prioritize sectors that directly affect the poor and vulnerable.
Infrastructure, because we know it matters to Nigerians, poor and rich, that we have good infrastructure. We'll focus on health and education because we know that this is the bedrock, again, for our society and matters to the poor. And we will take policy measures. It's not only about money that we put in. Policy measures that stimulate growth, growing sectors, sources of growth in the economy, sources that create jobs, such as agriculture, housing, even the creative industries.
But for most of these strategies to work, a robust capital market that will provide long-term finance for developmental projects is needed. This is what the master plan developed by the Securities and Exchange Commission is set to tackle.
We want a market that is very inclusive, where a majority of Nigerians are participating. We want a bond market that will enable us to meet the infrastructure deficit, which the federal government has estimated at $3.9 trillion over the next 30 years. We hope that we can support better entrepreneurship, given that Nigerians are entrepreneurial by nature.
The plans so far announced by these key players in the financial economy are targeted at creating wealth and opportunities for many Nigerians. The finance minister said although the global environment is uncertain, Nigeria has the strategies to cushion the effects. Omelogo Nadi, Channels Television News.
In the meantime, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Mrs. Dezani Alison Madueke, has been elected President of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, and her appointment takes immediate effect, and it's supposed to be for a year. This is the first time a woman has been elected to head the organization. Mrs. Alison Madueke was elected at the ongoing 166th General Meeting of the body in Vienna, Austria. She replaces Libyan Vice Prime Minister for Corporations Abdulrahman Al-Harish. Before her election, Mrs. Alison Madueke was the alternate president of OPEC. Now, the federal government has launched a satellite tracking system to detect gas flaring by international oil companies in the country. The Minister of Environment, Mrs. Laurentia Malam, who launched the tracker, says Nigeria could raise $1.1 billion yearly as fines from international oil companies that engage in gas flaring in the oil-producing communities. Efforts by the federal government to stop gas flaring over the years has not yielded the desired results, prompting the postponement of the deadline to oil companies at various times.
Communities in the Niger Delta are constantly afflicted by the persistent gas flaring, which spreads toxic smoke and chemicals over their means of livelihood. The federal government has made several failed attempts and promises to stop flaring natural gas from oil wells in the Niger Delta by setting a deadline, the latest of which has passed without stopping the poisonous flames. Now it has deployed a satellite tracking system to end gas flaring.
The gas flare tracker is able to display the volume of gas flared, which is estimated at 319 billion SCF per annum. It also has the ability to calculate the amount of unpaid fines by facility owners.
If harnessed, according to the minister, gas could meet 40% of energy needs in the country, but the government must first surmount the challenge of illegal flaring.
The oil companies, the ROC, are not giving us accurate volumes of the amount of gas they are flaring. But what we have is a situation where the satellites from outer space are giving us these volumes accurately. From the volume, we're able to know what these companies have been giving to us, and the deficits will make them pay more taxes and recover more money.
There was no information, as you can hear from the government officials. They had no database, no information, no correct calculations of the gases that were vented into the atmosphere. The average Nigerian who hears about the Niger Delta does not know what exactly is happening there. And with this tool, everybody in the world can simply get into the website and see real-time what has happened in the Niger Delta.
The impact of gas flaring is truly immense. 17 million tons of carbon dioxide are expelled each year through the flaring of gas in Nigeria. The world is now watching to see how efficiently the government will tackle the challenge using the latest technology. Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
To security matters, and the Office of the National Security Advisor has appraised the preparedness of a special joint force comprising the police, army and some paramilitary agencies on counter-terrorism in the country. The joint forces simulated a scene of a terrorist attack on a shopping mall and how to rescue victims and apprehend suspected terrorists. The Director of Security Information in the Office of the NSA, General Terry Wire, told journalists that the exercise was to assess the preparedness of the team on counter-terrorism techniques after a week-long training with foreign partners.
Part of the training is for people to know that we have trained emergency service personnel. So once an incident happens, people who do not necessarily need to go there, rush and go there. Let them allow the normal processes and procedures to take place. Experts will come in no time. We have emergency lines and all the rest, so experts will always be there in less than no time. But when people rush to scenes of incidents, it's not the best. What we did today is to sharpen our skills and see how quick and fast the emergency, the security infrastructure and the emergency infrastructure can respond to that incident.
The Senate today responded to corruption allegations leveled against the National Assembly by the former President, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, The chairman, Senate Committee on Information and Media, Senator Einaya Abaribe, told journalists today in Abuja that the reference to the National Assembly as a corrupt body by Chief Obasanjo is not only spurious, but also unbecoming of a former president. He says that it was during the regime of President Obasanjo that the constituency project was approved and built into the national budget for implementation by the executive. According to him, President Obasanjo, for the avoidance of doubt, was the initiator of the constituency project as a means of ensuring that projects are fairly spread across the country, using the senatorial zones as the springboard. He then concludes that it's unfortunate that the former President Obasanjo will distort the issues of constituency projects to mean a direct monetary advance through the lawmakers, amounting to the promotion of corruption. In part 2, after the break, Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola takes oath for second term in office. That's in a moment. Join us again.